All right, so listeners, get this. We're going to dive into a recipe that's, well, it's kind of a culinary mashup, you know? It's called the Everything Bagel and Lox Breakfast Pizza, and the timing for this is just perfect because, get this, today is February 2nd.
Oh, wow.
We were just a week away from National Pizza Day and National Bagel and Lox Day, both on February 9th.
Haha, wow. That is perfect timing. What's so interesting to me is how this recipe, it really like bridges these two big food holidays.
Yeah.
Such a cool fusion, especially with, the whole everything bagel seasoning craze that's going on right
Oh,
now.
yeah, it's on everything. Okay, so before we dive into, all the delicious details, what exactly IS and Everything Bagel and Lox Breakfast Pizza?
Okay, so picture this, right? You've got a crispy whole wheat crust, and it's covered with everything bagel seasoning.
Okay.
And then you've got this creamy layer of cream cheese and Greek yogurt.
That sounds good.
And then on top of that, you add slices of lox,
Hmm?
some briny capers, thinly sliced red onion, and then a sprinkle of fresh dill. It looks amazing, and according to this recipe blog we have, it's best served at room temperature.
Oh, that's interesting. A pizza served at room temperature. Okay, I gotta ask, how did we even get to a point where we're putting lox on pizza? I mean, they seem like they're from totally different worlds.
Both bagels and lox have pretty fascinating histories.
Okay.
Bagels, those chewy ring-shaped breads, they actually originated in Jewish communities in Poland way back in the 17th century.
Wow.
Lox, on the other hand, that's a brined salmon fillet, and it has Scandinavian roots.
So we have two completely different culinary traditions, and they both end up being like staples in New York.
Exactly. They came to America with different waves of immigrants, and then they were both embraced by the Jewish community in New York.
Huh.
And that's how they eventually became the iconic bagel and lox combination that we all know and love today.
Okay, but why lox out of all the fish in the sea, so to speak?
Well, back then, lox was a really practical choice for early American Jews.
Yep.
It was readily available kosher, and it didn't need refrigeration, which was a big deal at that time.
Wait a minute. So this whole thing about the pizza being served at room temperature, it's not just like a quirky thing. It's like it has actual historical roots.
It really does. And speaking of connections, this pizza, it seems like a modern twist on a classic, it appeals to people who love bagels and lox-and pizza. It's like comfort food meets culinary innovation.
Yeah, it's the best of both worlds. The recipe blog actually calls it a perfect brunch item, and they even mention holidays like Easter and Mother's Day.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Both of those holidays, they have brunch traditions, and this pizza is perfect for a relaxed, delicious get-together. It's easy to make ahead of time, and it has something for everyone.
So we've got this dish that's part history, part trend, and a whole lot of deliciousness. But I'm curious, could this recipe actually become a brunch staple? Could it, like, rival Eggs Benedict?
I mean, it definitely has the potential. It's convenient,
Yeah.
it's visually appealing, and it checks all the boxes for both familiar flavors and exciting innovation. Plus, it taps into that whole everything bagel seasoning trend that seems to have taken over the food world.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, I think it could definitely become a new brunch classic.
This whole everything bagel and lox pizza thing has got me thinking about food trends, like how they evolve and adapt.
Yeah, it's a really great example of culinary fusion.
Right.
You take those familiar elements,
Yeah.
bagels, lox, pizza,
Yeah.
and you kind of blend them together
Yeah.
in this way that's like nostalgic, but also new and exciting.
Yeah, it is. It's like taking the best parts of different culinary worlds and making something completely new.
Exactly.
It reminds me of when cronuts first came out.
Oh, yeah.
People went crazy for those.
Yeah, that's a great comparison.
Right.
Cronuts,
Yeah.
ramen, burgers,
Yeah.
sushi burritos.
Yeah.
All these like fusion foods that just capture everyone's imagination. And I think this pizza, it has that same potential.
It really does. But what do you think makes fusion cuisine so popular? Why are we so drawn to these like culinary mashups?
I think it really taps into that desire we have for both like familiarity and novelty.
Yeah.
We want that comfort of, familiar flavors, but we're also really intrigued by like new and exciting taste experiences.
Mm-hmm.
Fusion food kind of gives us the best of both worlds.
Yeah, it's that sweet spot
Yeah.
between comfort food and like culinary adventure. And it's not just like professional chefs doing this right.
No, not at all.
Home cooks are getting in on the action too.
Oh, absolutely. Social media has played a huge role in like, democratizing food culture.
Yeah.
Platforms like Instagram and TikTok, they're like virtual recipe books.
That's true.
They're showcasing all this creativity from home cooks all around the world.
It's like a global potluck. Everybody brings their own flavors and ideas to the table. Okay, so we've got this everything bagel and lox pizza, which is, tapping into some major food trends, but what do you think is next? What's the next big culinary wave?
I mean, food trends are so unpredictable.
Yeah.
But I do think we're going to see a continued rise in, like, plant-based cuisine.
Oh, okay.
More and more people are going plant-based for, health reasons, environmental, ethical reasons.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I've seen a ton of plant-based alternatives popping up at the grocery store.
Right.
I mean, there's plant-based versions of everything like burgers, tacos.
Exactly. And it's not just about, like, imitation meats anymore.
Right.
Chefs and home cooks are getting so creative with plant-based ingredients.
Yeah.
Showcasing all the different flavors and possibilities of fruits, vegetables, grains, legumes.
Yeah, they're really getting creative. And I think there's also like a growing awareness of sustainability and reducing food waste.
Oh, absolutely. People are more conscious of, the environmental impact of their food choices.
Yeah.
We're seeing a shift towards local and seasonal ingredients, reducing meat consumption, and, finding creative ways to use food scraps.
Like root to stem cooking and all that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about being more mindful of our relationship with food
Yeah.
and understanding that, our choices, they all have an impact.
Yeah. And that brings us back to this Everything Bagel and Lox pizza.
Right.
This pizza that started as a simple recipe blog post has led us down this whole path
It's amazing.
of exploring culinary fusion, food trends, sustainability.
Yeah.
It's really amazing how food can spark these kinds of conversations.
Food is more than just fuel,
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a reflection of our culture, our history, our values. And this pizza with its, blend of Jewish, Scandinavian, and Italian influences,
Yeah.
it's a perfect example of that.
It really is. Earlier we were kind of joking about this pizza, like maybe starting a new food holiday, but I actually think there's something to that idea.
I agree.
Yeah.
Imagine like a national Everything Bagel and Lox Pizza Day.
Yeah.
A day to celebrate, culinary creativity, fusion cuisine, and just the joy of like bringing people together through food.
That would be amazing. What if we took it even further and challenged our listeners to create their own variations of this recipe?
I love that idea.
Right.
We could call it like the Everything Bagel and Lox Pizza Remix Challenge.
Yeah.
Listeners could put their own spin on the classic recipe, experiment with different crusts, toppings, flavor combinations.
Oh, yeah. Like a vegan version with cashew cream cheese.
Yes.
A gluten-free version with a cauliflower crust. A spicy version with jalapenos.
Ooh.
The possibilities are endless.
They really are.
Right.
We could even encourage listeners to share their creations on social media with a hashtag like
Yeah.
#Everything Bagel Pizza Remix or something like that.
That's brilliant.
It'd be so cool to see what people come up with.
It would be amazing. A
Yeah.
true testament to the power of food to inspire and connect us.
Exactly.
Well, there you have it, folks. The Everything Bagel and Lox Breakfast Pizza. It's not just a recipe, it's a culinary movement.
A movement fueled by, creativity, connection, and a whole lot of that everything bagel seasoning.
That savory sprinkle.
Yeah.
So listeners, get those creative juices flowing and let's see what you can cook up.
Yeah. Have fun with it.
Okay, so let's talk about the practical side of this whole Everything Bagel and Lox Breakfast Pizza. It's supposed to be super convenient, right?
Oh, yeah, totally. One of the best things is you can prep a lot of it ahead of time.
Okay.
Like the crust and the cream cheese mixture, you can do that all in advance. And then when you're ready to eat, you just assemble it and slice it up. It's perfect for busy mornings when you don't want to be stuck in the kitchen forever.
Yeah. Nobody wants to be sweating over the stove while
Yeah.
everyone else is enjoying brunch. So speaking of practicality, how easy are the ingredients to find?
Most of them are pretty standard stuff you probably already have.
Okay.
Cream cheese, Greek yogurt, red onion, fresh dill,
Yeah.
and of course that everything bagel seasoning.
Right.
That's everywhere these days.
Yeah, it is. What about the lox, though? Isn't that a little harder to find?
It can be. Yeah, depending on where you live. But the recipe blog actually mentions that smoked salmon is a great substitute.
Oh, okay.
It's got a similar flavor, and it's way easier to find.
So if you can't find lox, smoked salmon will do the trick. But if you really want to impress your guests...
You could try making your own lox.
Ooh.
At home? I know it sounds kind of intimidating,
Yeah.
but it's really not that hard.
Mm.
There's tons of recipes online that walk you through it step by step.
Okay, so homemade lox, that's next level. But for us regular folks, store-bought lox or smoked salmon is perfectly fine.
Exactly. And that's what's so great about this recipe. It's adaptable.
Yeah.
Whether you're a pro in the kitchen or just starting out, you can totally make it your own.
That's awesome. So this Everything Bagel and Lox Breakfast Pizza, It's a culinary mashup, a potential brunch staple, a conversation starter, A&D, a testament to culinary adaptability.
Wow, that's quite a resume.
I know, right?
Yeah.
It's amazing how one simple recipe can lead to so many interesting ideas.
It really shows you how rich and complex food culture is. There's always something new to discover, something to learn and, of course, something to taste.
And that's what we love about doing these deep dives. It's all about exploring the world of food one bite at a time.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
we encourage everyone listening to try out this recipe,
Yeah.
experiment in the kitchen, share what you create.
Yeah.
Who knows, maybe you'll be the one to start the next big food trend.
I love that. And if you do create your own everything Bagel and Lox pizza masterpiece, tag us on social media. We'd love to see it.
Definitely.
Well, that's it for today's deep dive. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Happy cooking.
And bon appetit.